Hi friends, and welcome back. This is an 11 by 14 Belgian linen panel. Dick Blick, I think. I'm going to try something fun. I don't expect to get too far tonight. Hopefully get the drawing on. I've been looking at a lot of old photos of my husband's family, and his father, when he was a young man, went out west to Yellowstone in a Model T, if you know what that is. And there's a little tiny album of photos from in that album. I didn't say that right. A little album of photos. So I photographed some of the photos, and I've played with them. I've tried all the adjustments on my iPad, and there's a couple that I really love. I'll show you. This is one. And of course they're black and white, which is kind of cool too, really, because I'm going to start out with just burnt sienna and try to get the sketch on in just values. But I think I'll show you a couple more. Look at this. This is the one I think we're going to do. There's a tent back there, and the car. They're laying on the bench. I don't want his feet to be out of the painting, so I have to figure that out. And then there's one other one that maybe look at that one. Aren't these great? I'm just really excited about it. My husband has a lot of old, like Sports Illustrated? Magazines that belong to his father. And they have this great illustrations in them. You know, really old photos of fishermen and hunter. Oh, here's another one, look. And these are little tiny photos that I photographed and zoomed in and cropped and altered, and I do that a lot. I photograph a photograph. It's a great idea. I've gotten so many cute ones lately. Look at this one of my husband when he was little, in front of one of the cabins they owned up in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. Isn't that cool? So anyway, here's one of his whole family. Mom, Dad, his older brother, and him. So I'm just really interested in doing this right now, and I may look for more. I like photos of like groups of men with maybe a lot of fish, or maybe they've duck hunted and they have all the ducks, and I like things like that. So I may look for other things, but again, this is the one that we're going to try to get sketched on. And again, the proportions are not right, and I don't want to run his legs off, so I've got to pull him back, so I have to think about that. So what we're going to do tonight is just squirt out a bunch of burnt sienna. These are Cobra paints. I don't use this much, but this is an opportunity to use it. And also, I don't recommend putting water in, even though they're water mixable oils. I don't really recommend putting water in them, but we're probably going to tonight because it's going to set a while, and they'll have plenty of time for the water to evaporate out. So I don't use them because I think they can tend to make your paint sticky. So I don't get into the water. But tonight we are just, so again, it's going to take us a little bit just to get the canvas covered with some paint. And you could paint this, in just gray tones, or you could paint it just in burnt sienna and make it look like almost like a sepia photo. These old-fashioned scenes. Charlie Hunter, if you're not familiar with them, he works in water mixable oil Cobras, the same paints that I do, and he's very good at drawing, and his work is very illustrative. He does a lot of buildings, but his work also looks often to me like a sepia photo. Not a lot of different values and colors. Here's what I'm thinking on this, because I can do whatever I want color-wise. I have no color, but I want it to have nice color harmony. So I'm kind of thinking, I see trees back in the background and sky. So I'm kind of thinking greens, blues, of course, and maybe pops of maybe some pops of reds, you know, maybe. I'm not sure. I have to decide where I want the eye to go. I mean, this is, I don't know, I'm excited. We'll see how it goes. Often for myself, I'll see work of art and I will think, wow, what a great reference photo. You know, that's a lot of it, is coming up with good material. Don't you think? I mean, I think lucky them sometimes. Look at that great reference photo, you know. Again, I am using water tonight, though I normally don't put water in these, even though you can. You absolutely can. Oh, shoot. Where'd that towel land? I flung it over at the trash can. Give me a second here. Oh, it's okay. I have a painting over there, and I flung that wet paper towel over there with paint on it. I thought, my luck, it landed right against that painting, right? All right, we'll switch to a somewhat smaller paintbrush, and we're just going to try, like I said, this is not cropped for the dimensions of this. One thing, again, I do know is I do want to get that guy's feet back on the canvas. So, and we'll be making up some stuff, I'm sure. You know, I've got trees up here, I want to run them off. But if it turns out well, what I love about it, you know, it's my photo, and, you know, I mean, I didn't take it, but, you know, it belongs to us, and you know, it'd be a one-of-a-kind thing for sure if it turns out well. The tent looks like it runs down. And then this bench, this little album I was looking through, there was one, a batch of photos there where they had a bear like climbing into the side of the car. And then one picture of one of them touching the bear, and I think they didn't have much protection, did they, in that car? But the front of the album looks like it's painted and it says Yellowstone. So, all right, so we don't want his knees and feet to go too far. Maybe there, we're kind of just, you know, there's just no rush here to this. I don't care if I work on it for a long time, actually. Mike remembers camping with his parents when he was little, and Mom and Dad. He remembers Dad building like a camper thing that went on top of their car, and he remembers them sleeping in it, and Dad took pride in, like, he would keep a fire going in the rain for days, and they really got into it. They had rotisserie, he remembers, and they were like, all the neighbors thought that was the coolest thing, you know. I guess it was a battery-powered rotisserie thing. So, you know, we went just a couple weeks ago up to Rhinelander and visited the resort that his family owned up there. Yeah, I wish I had, you know, I don't like that he's cropped off like that, but this is his dad here, laying this way. Pretty brave to go out there like that, isn't it? And you know, when you went out there, they went everywhere in those Model Ts. They must have been a really bumpy ride, but you had to take everything you needed. I mean, there were no gas stations, So they had to have enough gas, and they had to tires. They had to make any repairs that needed done. I mean, I don't know if I would do it. My grandson, you know, he goes out west. He's been out west several times, him and his girlfriend, and they sleep in there. For the most part, they sleep in their, it's not a van even, like an SUV. They sleep in that, which I worry about them. I think that's brave too, you know. You see bears break into cars, so. So let me know if you got any color recommendations, what you think would be fun. My mother-in-law was an artist. I may have mentioned that to you before. When I met her, they were living in Florida when Mike and I married. And at that time, she was painting, you know, Florida-type scenes, which don't interest me a lot. But she was a pretty good artist in her day. She took it very serious, and she taught painting. And I have all the things that my brother-in-law gave me later when she passed away, like her sketchbooks. And I mean, she took it very serious, sketching people in her hands, and you know. Probably more like my mother-in-law than I am my own mother, as far as our interest, and we're more high energy, and you know, learning things, and I'm probably more like her that way. But just imagine the ride in these cars. I bet it was a bumpy ride. The other picture, they got some kind of bag thing hanging there. I said to my husband, "What's that?" And he said that was water. Okay. And there's trees that go on out here. You know, I don't want it to feel all so jumbled together. Oh, what's the pole? There's a pole right here. It doesn't feel like a tree. It feels like a telephone pole, but wouldn't have been, I guess. Don't know. I'm sure we'll be adjusting and adjusting. I can use my little rubber knife to scrape, and you know, I'm just not in any hurry. You know, I don't need it for anything in particular. So I'm just gonna have fun with it. Yeah, see, the car is way back here, and it's not that it matters really. I'm not understanding what the pole is. It doesn't really feel like a tree, though it probably would almost have to be, wouldn't it? This is all kind of gravel, and there are a few shadows. Like I said, I've got a shadow under here, a shadow under the car. Those are probably my darkest darks. So let's start looking at value a little bit. This is kind of mid-toned. And then I can even probably, like, will that work to scrape out? Let's see. I can let's try. I'm gonna just try something. I dipped it in a little water. I can definitely take a wet paintbrush and, you know, like you could do this with traditional oils and solvent. Same kind of thing. I'm going to have to really check my shapes on stuff. He's got a hat on. In the one picture, they both have hats on. He's almost like laying on his feet. Yeah, when you go to, I don't know if you have one around you, but we have they're called Bass Pro. They're like big sporting goods stores, and they have they're like those pictures that I was talking about almost. They have painted on the walls and stuff. Old sporting pictures, and look like something you'd have seen in a magazine, you know, the illustrations. That's under his. So I have to, you know, really figure things out. I'll probably layer and layer and layer, so, you know, I want a good amount of paint on here. I wish I could see all of the guy, so I don't like guessing. You know, if his knee is here, you know, his pant leg could maybe go maybe there. So it's kind of a guess, you know, on some of that, because I can't see it. I have made this bench too much taller than it is. This is pretty dark down here at the base of the tent. Yeah, where'd the bench come from? You wonder, did they take a bench with them? I don't know how things would have been back in that day. This probably would have been in the, let's see, 20s. So, I wasn't here. Wasn't living yet. Before I go too far, let's look at that and make sure we like the feel of it. You know, it's a lot of stuff right dead in the middle, isn't it? I'm seeing that. And the car in the photograph, if the tent is here, the car is up here. So probably much bigger than I have it. let's do this. Just kind of get the outside general shape of it, and then we'll come back and look at it. Yeah, we get it pretty good now, don't we, when we travel? They say you'd had to have been brave to do what they did. I'd have been scared of, I'm scared of bears now. I'd have been scared of bears. I'd have been worried my car would break down someplace, and everything I could possibly worry about, right? I'd have probably worried about it, so. We'll run that tree off the top, so. Yeah, I'm going to keep digging around for other photos that interest me. I got to watch for odd placement of things too. Right now his head's kind of, he's got a hat on, kind of overlapping the car. They probably patched these tires like you would a bicycle tire, I bet. Don't you imagine? Like I said, that's the tent coming down there. You can see. I mean, I can do whatever I want. Who would know, right? I see some sky holes in here. Thank you to my new subscribers. Channel's moving along slowly. What we need are views. So please try to hang in there if you can, and instead of skipping through and watching, I think that helps. They credit me with watch hours, they call them. I've been doing this channel, well, like 5 years, and then I took a break, and so I think I've been really putting stuff on here like the last 4 years, but I'm still not monetized, as they call it, but I could be if I get enough watch hours. So if you can help me out and watch them, that'd be great. Even then, I think it's based on performance, so even if I ever got monetized, I probably wouldn't do much, but it'd just be nice, I think. Been raining here the last few days. Yesterday was the 4th of July, and it did quit at night. We went over to my daughter's and watched fireworks, and the night before they have an event here in my town called Red Rhythm and Boom, and luckily the rain stopped and they had the fireworks and the bands perform in the evening, and all that got to happen, so I'm glad. It rained in the afternoon. The weekend's supposed to be beautiful, though, so I may get out to paint. I started a painting in town last week, one evening, and started pouring on me. So I packed up, and I don't like lightning. I headed to the car praying I wouldn't get hit by lightning. So I got a painting I need to finish. So I have to do a little studying, This is like a canvas tent. I can kind of see it goes back that way. Looks like they got something hanging on it there. And I want to study the men a little bit, though I don't want to get too picky in details. I want them to, let me get my little scraper again. Like he's laying on his arms. So that's his face. Mike's father was an interesting guy. He was a hard-working guy. He was a woodworker, and he built homes and put additions on their house. And he was old when I met him and not well. Nice guy. And then he's, like said, kind of laying on his shoes. Mike's dad was fairly tall. Mike isn't. He's more like his mama. And then his arms came up here. We might take a little brush and wipe some of this out. Let me do that. I mean, just this part of it's fun, really, He has this weird hat on. wonder who took the picture. I never thought much about that. Right? Who took the photo? A bear, right? Huh. Probably weren't a lot of people out there. Yeah, like the one where they're standing by the car too. I have one of Mike's mom. Some cool ones of her actually, standing by an old car. I think she got a long dress on, and one where she's graduating high school. She got a scholarship to Conservatory of Music, and she's standing there with a big bouquet of flowers in a cool old dress. That'd be fun to paint too. I'm just real excited with the idea of doing some of these. Oops. Again, I wish I could see more of him. I've got I don't know how detailed I'll get on the shoes, but I've got a picture of his shoes and then another picture. It isn't like they'll read like his shoes anyway, so. Yeah, his grandson, you know, it's kind of neat. He's a bit like him, you know, adventurous and loves it out west. Can you kind of see him there? Just wiping off where the highlights might catch him. Again, we'll have to kind of wing this leg thing. I don't know how I'll handle it. Haven't decided yet. Kind of looks like his legs are kind of spread apart. So we'll decide. Right now I'm just, as you can see, just going after the lightest lights. If you've never started a painting this way, it's kind of fun, and it can work well for all subject matters, portraits and landscapes. And you know, when your parents are here, I don't know about you, but, you know, you kind of take it for granted, and don't you wish you had them here now to ask them a lot of things, you know, all the stories, and you know, you're just not that interested in them when you're young, sadly. There's a thing out now where it's kind of, I don't want to say it's a game, but you interview your parents. I think that's a great idea. You know, after going up to Wisconsin to his parents, to the resort and stuff, you know, I wish they were here to ask him questions. He does too, of course. And you know, I would like to know how their winters were. It had to have been tough. And I guess that's life, isn't it? As long as somebody remembers us, we're still here. So tell your stories. Tell your stories while your family's here, whether they like it or not, right? I think I've been real open with my daughter, but my parents weren't so much, and yeah, I'm hoping this doesn't feel like it's just too much group right here and that I don't have enough else going on. You know, I have to think about how I want to handle that. I'm going to put some other values in here. You know, what other things would they have had? They might have had a big campfire. So, you know, I could even do what I want. I don't want it to look too picky, and I want it to flow, and all the things you think about with any painting, you know. I say I'm thinking though, see what you think of that idea, you know. Of course we got blues and green foliage, blue sky, and I want it to be attractive, like I said, with good color harmony. The men probably were in, you know, kind of dull clothes, probably in reality, jeans, and can't really tell. I see belts, they look like trousers. So what I'll have to do now is just decide if my drawing feels right, you know, if the car feels right and all that before I go any further. Otherwise I'll have to come back and redo that, you know. Otherwise I won't have a good painting, you know, if I go on and just I kind of liked this one more than the other one because I liked all the stuff going on, their tent back there, and just kind of, let me get this angle. Kind of curves back in like that. Gets a little darker over here. I can see that feels a little out of whack. That's a tricky thing, you know. I've painted vehicles before, this tire thing can really throw you. Usually, normally when you have people in a painting, that's, you know, where people go look first. I'm hoping this turns out well, and it might even be something I want to do bigger. And if I go bigger, maybe I'll change the composition even, you know, use these elements, but a lot of it you won't know till you start putting color in, right? Just can see a tree trunk there, some kind of pulling out some sky holes. This brush actually is a little fat for some of this. You know, I have to ground these guys and get a shadow under them. I'll bring you in and show you a little bit. So you can kind of tell, that's his face, that's the rim of his hat, his arm, and his feet come down. And this is this guy's arm. He's laying, I think, with his hands under his head. So that's his face, the front of his chest. And I haven't resolved this yet. So anyway, that's from the 1920s, the image, and I don't know yet. I'm sure that car feels a lot out of whack to you. Does it feel better when you're directly behind it? It's a funky little car, see? So my husband will tell me if it's off. All right, thanks for joining me, and I'm just going to leave this set for a while. I'm in no hurry to get back to it. This may go on for a long time. And again, if I like it in the end, we may go bigger. I may change the composition, but just seemed like something fun to do. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. Like and subscribe if you haven't done that. I always say I never would bother you, and it doesn't cost any money, but it would probably help me out in the end. So please subscribe, and catch you next time. All right. You have a good weekend. Bye-bye.